Welcome, friends of art. Sit down and grab a stylus, because today I'm going to show you my favorite way to draw hair. Or just sit back and relax and enjoy the video. That's fine too. As you can see, I'm starting out by just making a base of a head and shoulders. I like to do this sort of loose style where I just block in the colors with a textured brush. That's pretty fun, but if you are doing line art or another style, you can do anything you want as long as you have the base color of the hair on a separate layer so that you can put a clipping mask on top of it easily. The concept's pretty simple, so I'm sure you can find a way to apply it to anything. Alrighty, now that I have this head base drawn out, go ahead and start adding the hair. It's pretty easy when you're doing it without line art like this and just blocking in big shapes to keep all of the clumps of hair in appealing shapes and all coming back to one point. You can of course do this with line art too. You'll just have to pay a little bit more attention to where you're putting the clumps of hair, and you'll want to make sure that they do all converge back to one point that is sort of predetermined, you know, the part in the hair. There we go, I think we're almost done. Usually I would make a second layer that is behind, or a third layer, I guess. Like I'd make a layer that's behind this base layer to do these so that I could just go wild with it and make those behind strands really a lot easier. Especially if it's long hair. I would definitely make another layer for the background part of the hair. Is there a better word for that? The background hair? I don't know. Yeah, the hair behind the character's face. I would definitely make another layer for that if the hair is long. But a lot of the time with short hair, I will in fact just keep it all on one layer so it's easier. If it's hair that's kind of short, I'll put it all on one layer and I'll just sort of erase away the parts that would overlap with the face. After you have the outline of your hair done, you can either set it as an alpha lock layer so that you won't be able to draw outside the lines of what you've already drawn, or you can make a new layer and set it to clipping mask. That's especially good if you're maybe thinking that you'll want to erase what you do and play around with it a little bit. Completely up to you if you want to make it all on one layer or make another one. To do the shading, I'll usually just go with the color of the hair and change the hue down a little bit, and I'll mostly just move this saturation brightness slider over to be quite a bit more saturated and not necessarily much darker, because the saturation and hue change already makes it stand out. The next part of what I do is go in with the shading and section out the hair into different clumps. Give some definition to the ones that we were keeping in mind earlier when we were setting in the basics of the hair. If it's on another layer, you can use the eraser tool. But if it's all on one layer, what you can do is just select your base color and then cut into it that way. And that's like erasing without erasing. Anyway, back to the drawing. And now that we have the shading done, we can go ahead and go on to a highlight layer. And sort of same as before, you can add another clipping mask layer, or you can just do it on the same layer. Either way is fine. For the highlights, I'll again select the beginning mid-tone color, and this time I'll take the hue slider in the opposite direction, and I will take the saturation brightness up a bit. And for the highlights, I'll basically just reinforce those same clumps that I made and defined before. One more thing I do like to do is add a little bit of hue variation, I like to just add a little bit of yellowish color to the top of the hair and a little bit of blue to the bottom and back of the hair. It makes it look like there's a bit more depth. It's fun to just take a textured brush, lower the opacity a whole lot, and play around with adding some different colors here and there. Makes the hair look kind of glowy too. Anyway, oh right, my favorite finishing touch. I'll make the brush really small and just make white and add some outlines. I like adding some outlines and then putting in cute highlights. I like making star-shaped highlights, sometimes hearts, and sometimes just these little sparkle shapes. Adding a few dots here and there because they make it look even more like there's this implication of stars in the hair. I can definitely get pretty carried away with this, and there's not much I can say about it except that I like to sort of put either two together and then a third one somewhere else, or I like to put three together where two of them are just a little bit closer together. So like, it's not a perfect triangle. It can be, but I think it looks a little better if it's sort of a lopsided triangle that the three dots make. You can do whatever you want. Add as many sparkles. Add many, many, many sparkles. Sparkles everywhere. Sparkles in the eyes. Sparkles in the hair. Sparkles, sparkles everywhere. And, that's it. Flawless transition. Very good. So now you know my favorite way to draw hair. I especially love it for simple, quick drawings, but it can also work with rendering. You just have to smooth it out and take it a step farther. Here's some examples, and if anyone watching this video is going to use these tips, I would absolutely love if you tag me on social media so I can see it. It's not necessary, of course, but I would love to see them. And of course, I want to give the biggest thank you to my Patreon supporters, Tabith, Trini Moss, Vicky Early, Lolly B. Art, and Colby Wilt. Also on my Patreon is the full unedited version of this video. It is a full 30 minutes of me recording and trying to get my brain to work while I draw. There's lots of other stuff too, so go have a look if you want. And with that, I say thank you very much for watching to the end of the video. I hope that you have a good rest of your day or night, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye!